And we're getting there. Hang on. Give me a second. We'll get this all figured out. Showing the camera and everything. All right, here we go. Hi. And I am not Longshoe. So, John here, you there. Thanks for hanging out as you always do. It is a Monday. It is a Reaction Monday, which means we dive into what happened over the weekend, which means we're also down to the Final Four when it comes to the cup that the world is chasing after. And we have our Monday experts coming in to discuss. Abe Gordon, 92.9 The Game, is going to be dropping by when it is going to be the two is going to be the normal two that we have. It is going to be Abe Gordon of 92.9 The Game in hour number one, and then Bart Keeler is going to be joining us in hour number two to kind of break everything down. We've got a lot of stuff that is on the books that we've got to get into. And now hang on just a second. Let's see. Let's see. That there. All right, so that's our rundown. It's going to be those two here on Monday. Abe Gordon, 92.9 The Game, coming up here in just a little bit. It's going to be Bart Keeler, SoccerForUSPod. Episode 149 is out, and we will break all that stuff down for you here this morning. Tyler Terens sends his apologies, and he will be coming with us at a later time. And, of course, so I finish off this bottle, and I don't have enough for a second. So probably is going to end up being a point where when I'm playing some sound, I'm going to go race for another 2-liter. So that's the rundown for the morning. Thanks for dropping by. Yes, we do have a cryptic tweet from Atlanta United. It is 5 stripes don't stop. So that means that roughly when you get something from Atlanta United at 9 o'clock, that means at 10 o'clock, you're going to end up with a transaction that you've got to pay attention to. And so we will pay attention to said transaction. And for those that might have missed the tweet, it was a carry-on. And it was heading into an Atlanta United van, relationship and geography unknown. So keeping an eye on all of that stuff. Looked like it was a Paraguayan flag. And we do know the rumors that are out there, at least according to our friends at Transfermarkt. And so it is, let's see. So, no, stop. So, so let's see. Ropes is doing the yeoman producer work by sending us everything that is laid out this morning in Major League Soccer. And we are having some other folks that are drifting in with their news. Charlotte has signed Alan St. Maximin as a designated player. So Zaha out, St. Maximin in. And when we know the terms, we will let you know the terms. But St. Maximin is in as a DP now in Charlotte. So that is other news this morning. And once again, we're going to be getting some of that stuff drifting in and out. So morning, Abby, morning, Ricky, morning, Ropes. And you got Atlanta with a cryptic tweet at 9 o'clock. So at 10 o'clock, we'll keep an eye on it. And Charlotte has signed Alan St. Maximin. So that would be the early news of the morning. The early news. So the rundown for the day, obviously, will drift in and out of the tournament. We've got some other stuff going on involving postseason bids in a bunch of leagues in and around the footprint. WPSL Georgia Impact is in the Final Four. They'll be heading to Kansas City this weekend to determine the national champ in the WPSL. We'll get you the highlights of that from the weekend where they were in the conference, the South Regional Final against Pensacola FC. We got the highlights. Maddie was on the call for those, and so we'll have that for you as well in hour number 2, or maybe in hour number 1. We'll kind of clear the decks maybe in hour number 1 and drift our way through it. So what I have on the list is obviously the twos. We've got a lot of stuff going on overseas. We have coaches who have been dismissed and or coaches who are taking over positions for folks who have been dismissed. We've got the U20s. They are down in Fayetteville. They have another couple of days in their training camp. They had a match yesterday. Jason was on the call for that one. we have your highlight there. So it's also Chad Gabert has his World Cup player impact ratings after the final 8. We'll go through those this morning as well. We got to talk about the twos. We've got your AST rewind, and we've got the tour of all of our favorite light poles when it comes to all of the news and information, whether it's Ornstein, Jacobs, Tommy Scoops, you name it, it's all on the board. So that's what's going to be dropping in for all of us here this morning. So that is the rundown for today, and we'll see how your brackets are busted, and we'll see where it is. So Abby is in this morning, and so it looks like possibly, and so we're leaning in the Junior Alonso direction, and so that is the conventional wisdom on the Twitch pitch. When that happens, it's say 10 o'clock or 9:55 or whatever, then we will break down the history of the incoming individual who for another 50 minutes or so technically 43 minutes. 43 to 48 minutes is alleged. So Atlanta United is allegedly making a transaction with a cryptic tweet. So we bring in Abe Gordon, who is properly hydrated. At least he was off camera. Yeah. So saw the big jug, and so are you properly hydrated this morning?
No, probably not. I drank as much as I could post run, but it'll take most of the day to get back what I've lost already.
Yes, considering how thick it is, and I will use that word outside this morning. We have our cryptic tweet from Atlanta United. 5 stripes don't stop. We have someone with a travel bag that is rolling it into an Atlanta United van, and there is a Paraguayan flag scarf wrapped around the carry-on piece of luggage. And so, anticipating at 10 o'clock or shortly thereafter, a transaction for Atlanta United. Charlotte came in this morning and signed Alan St. Maximin to a DP deal. So we're getting ready for MLS being back. I guess for the second half of the season. We've got the Final Four in the World Cup. Where, sir, a positive, would you like to start?
Are we sure that's not just Miggy's suitcase rolling back into town after the World Cup?
I mean, it could be, like I said, it's a Paraguayan flag scarf that is attached, so it could be any number of things. Usually with a 5 stripes don't stop, there is an incoming, and so who knows? But yes, you do have a point.
Here's where I'm at with all that. Like, we've had enough transfers in recent years, John, that have disappointed once they arrived. That it's tough for me to get excited right now about whoever they're bringing in. Like it sucks, but like I'm more of just the wait and see approach, not just name or is it spoiler this guy that guy, but like also does it work with the team? Does it improve? Does it make us dangerous in any sense? Because we've just had too many of those that have come in and not been that. And so a little tough to get excited right now. I know we return to action on Friday, and, you know, we've seen all these world-class players. We now have to build back towards MLS play. And we all watched the friendly. What was that? Thursday morning. And so we'll see. You know, KC's not very good, so tough to tell what you learned there. Some interesting things with the formation and where Latte Lot was and all that, but we'll see if it plays out that way come Friday night. But it just throw whatever rumors you want at me. Like, do you know what name you'd have to throw at me for me to like legitimately be excited and be like, yeah, like this guy's gonna come here and wreck the league, Johnny Manziel style? Like I mean, you're talking about like go down the golden boot list right now at the World Cup. And by the time you get to like 7th on the list, I'm like, we'll see. Like if they got Oyarzabal off of Spain,
that was the name I had. I'm just like,
I'm like, I don't know, maybe. But like anyone above him, you know, you could bring me Jude Bellingham. I'd be pumped about it. But yeah, like it's unfortunate that's where we're at. But I just have a tough time getting hyped for. You know, after 2+ years of being hyped and watching the essentially not provide what they were paid for.
Oh, understood. So Morning David as well. But yes, the Five Stripes Don't Stop continues, and we'll have that. But yeah, I think literally when you were running down Golden Boot, the first name popped into my head was Oyathable. And I'm like, yeah, and that's where I was going to be like, yeah, you could get excited about something like that. But yeah, his value has gone through the roof with his time so far in the tournament. We're now in the Final Four. How's your bracket?
Mine's pretty good. You know, I've had France the whole way. And I think the surprise entrant, if you want to call it that, into the last four is probably England, although, you know, to what extent it's not that big of a surprise. I don't think any of their victories were upsets, right? I mean, they beat teams that they should be beating. It wasn't the most difficult path for them. There certainly were some other squads that could have been a little bit tougher, but job well done from them. And you know, they're playing well. And the question now is what form is Argentina in? Because they've played some very scary matches, obviously here in Atlanta against Egypt. Even last game, I know they won it 3-1 eventually. But very scary moments against a 10-man Switzerland squad. Just of the big three that came into the tournament, you know, Argentina, Spain, France, they've definitely felt, looked, seemed shakiest. And this is just quite simply an England squad that's not going to panic in a tight game. And look, Argentina's not either. But you know, I mentioned this to Mike Conti just a moment ago. Not that England has better playmakers than Argentina, but there's simply more of them. And you just wonder at what point the numbers game catches up with Argentina. This is very clearly far and away the best team that Argentina has played in this tournament. And so Jude Bellingham's on the run of a lifetime, obviously. Harry Kane's letting it happen, which is, you know, important from a superstar to do that as well. It's the best team that Argentina's played. They're playing really well, and they have more playmakers. So I'm going to go France and England in the final. I've had France this whole time. It's going to be interesting to see what they can do without the sort of possession numbers that they normally enjoy because of what Spain's going to look to do. But if France can score on Spain, the way Belgium did, is they can get one early, Spain's not just going to be able to sit back and pass it around for 80 minutes. It's going to open things up. So, like, I feel like Spain's going to win 1-0 or France is going to win like 4-1. Like, I'm not sure how much middle ground there is.
You mentioned Jude Bellingham, and if memory serves, he had 6 goals in all of his previous activity nationally leading into this tournament, and he's got 6 goals in this tournament. So that's the run that Jude Bellingham is on. I believe that the kids at the craps table would call it a heater. So Jude Bellingham, I think, at the table is on a heater right now. You were mentioning Argentina and playmakers. This stat came across from our friends at Opta. The number is 54. Yes, properly hydration. Lionel Messi has had 54 shot involvements at the World Cup so far, 33 shots, 21 chances created. The most by a player in a single edition since Diego Maradona, 1986, 29 shots, 30 chances created. So Messi is 5 behind Maradona when it comes to chances created and activity with Argentina. But I had Argentina and France in my final. And for me, it was like, are you going to be the guy that lets down Lionel Messi playing for Argentina? It's almost like no matter the issues that we see at the back, and we know that they're there, they get caught in transition, and it is like, you know, trying to chase the rabbit when it comes to track and field. But they're running back in transition. They got problems defensively, and they're trying to shore that up at the back. But then there's always that guy. There's always number 10, and there's always opportunities there. So it's like Messi trying to help everybody else along, and everybody else trying to make sure that they don't lose it because of Messi. That makes sense.
Yeah, I just think you've seen that as the competition has gotten a little stiffer, his impact has gotten a little lighter, and there's a variety of reasons for that. The amount of focus he's drawing defensively, but also old man legs, just as you get further into the tournament. And that's going to be something that whether it's England or Argentina, they're fighting against whoever gets to the final, because you've got a day less rest than France or Spain, whoever wins that game. And so certainly for the physical state, and now you've got Argentina that played in an incredibly intense comeback against Egypt. They had to go to extra time going back to Cabo Verde. They went into extra time once again against Switzerland. And these minutes just do add up. So at some point, you do wonder if they start to run out. Certainly for them, it's obviously good that they're playing where they're playing here in Atlanta, where they don't have to deal with the elements, at least the way that you saw some of those teams down in Miami, and maybe it caught up with them down there. But certainly you start to wonder, it just may not be it in terms of a defense for Argentina. You're just starting to see them get a little questionable with the results. And then obviously everyone wants to talk about the questions with kind of the benefiting calls and all that. I don't really view it that way. Just going to be honest. You can't have a bad yellow card in the first half. Like, you can't put yourself in a position and dive like that. Like, I'm sorry. Like, and we're not talking about this if he's not wildly reckless in the first half and that's his first yellow card, right? Like, that's not a problem. So look, it's not like things are just going their way. Like, Switzerland put themselves in that position, got punished for it. So, I'm not here for that nonsense, any of that talk. So, we'll see how they fare. But England just feels like they're coming in with supreme confidence. They've now got Jude Bellingham running, like you mentioned, alongside with Harry Kane as duo playmakers. And there's so many other guys on that team that scare you in a moment. And Jordan Pickford's having quietly a pretty good tournament himself. And it's taken some absolute blitzing golazos to get past him. So there you go.
Well, yeah, and the issues that Argentina is having at the back, England is having at the back because of injuries and suspensions, Jarrell Kwanzaa and such. So you're having Lionel Scaloni and you're having Thomas Tuchel sit there and try to figure out, okay, where do I put the athletic tape on this one? Where do I put the athletic tape on my back line? Where do I, literally, and these are coaches that are having to figure out all this stuff on the fly. And I mean, everybody's sitting there saying, okay, Argentina, England. Yeah, it is the present. Well, it's like the past and the present, where you're looking at the other matchup and they're going, yeah, that one should be the final. You've got in this one, the 4 top seeded teams. This is just like March and April, where if you fill out your brackets, when you do a bracket for entertainment purposes only in March and April, how do you fill out your bracket?
I watch games in October, November, December, January, February, so I fill it out that way. But yeah, a lot of people just go by pure seeds. And I mentioned this when I was on the radio show just a moment ago. Like, go through the NFL conference championship games. It wasn't number 1 seed versus number 2 seed. Go into the NBA conference championship games. It wasn't number 1 seed versus number 2 seed. As you're mentioning, men's and women's college basketball, not number 1 versus or not all number 1 seeds. It's just so rare that the teams that are supposed to get here avoid those hurdles and actually get here. And it's set up for an incredible semifinal round, which then will parlay itself into 2 out of 4 teams that you expect to be there for the championship round. So, these last 3 games, I'm not counting consolation match, but the 2 semis and the final, like they're all built on what you want this tournament to be when you started it, which is France and Spain, England and Argentina all battling for that trophy. And it's great to have, we talk about in every sport, it's great to have like the Cinderella runs and all that, but realistically, no one wants that to be there at the end of it all. With respect to Egypt, like, people would not be hyped if it was England, Egypt, and England thrashes. If England's going to thrash, they're going to do it against Argentina. And that's a different story heading into the finals if they get there.
Because the reason I ask is because when I fill out my bracket for entertainment purposes only in March and April, I start in the middle. I start at the end and build out, because that way I've got my chalk that I know is going to be there, your number ones and twos. I've got that in the middle because that's what we always anticipate at the end of the tournament. And that way I don't get caught up in all of the Cinderellas on the outside. And I don't have somebody like a George Mason making a run. I don't have somebody like, a Butler making a run or something, or a Hampton knocking off a Georgetown in a 215 or something like that. I've got my chalk by the time I'm done. And everybody was so concerned about a 48-team tournament. Oh, I don't know. Can we stack 48? By the time we've gotten to the Final Four, it's your top 4 seeded teams that were left alone on purpose so they wouldn't play each other until this kind of a moment.
Yeah, and what's interesting about the success of the round of 32, if you want to call that, is we're dealing with such a small sample size, right? Like, obviously you have 16 games in the round of 32. You've only got 1 year's worth or one tournament's worth of a sample size. And so it went incredible this year. We all understand that. I don't think there's much to deny that, but who's to say a different year you're not getting a bunch of 5-1 blowouts and you're getting a bunch of just cupcake games where they're over 10 minutes in, it's 3-0, some powers beating up on some Island Nation, and then you're like, all right, well, like maybe this wasn't such a good idea. So yeah, it's tough to judge right now, but I think it's obviously worked. I know he said it. He was asked a direct question, but the idea of 64 has now come out, and so we'll see. I think there are steps to be taken. Let's put it that way, but it'll be interesting. I do think you start to really water down some stuff when you get to 64. Group size, group power, a group of death, I thought was kind of vacant this year because so many third place teams do advance. Would taking it to 64 maybe even things out, maybe a return to that, or would it water it down even more? It's tough to say, but I would not want to make a jump to 64 already. I would play at least one more with a round of 32 and go from there.
Well, see, now you're going right up against your deadline here. And so I was thinking, and I don't want to get you in trouble for hanging out and going into added time here.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
On that point about going to a field of 64, Big FOX is in the last year of a television contract. So now the head of FIFA floating this idea of an ever expanded tournament to whomever would be interested in signing on the line, which is dotted for a new TV deal in the United States. And we've seen, TV networks sit there and go, well, yeah, I'd like to bundle my rights together. And, as Big FOX, considering they're making a massive profit on this one, considering that they got bulk bought last time, I thought that this was a trial balloon that got floated for a couple of different ideas. One, because of the success that we've seen. And I mean that both economically, because capacity is 99.6% when it comes to capacities in all these venues, and all the viewing and all of the revenue that's coming in for FIFA. It's a natural extension for them to think about 64. So right before the Final Four in a contract negotiation year, he floats this idea, and it would be a lot easier where if you had 16 groups of 4, and then you just had 1 and 2 advance, you get an easier 32 than having to do all that damn math that we had to do this time around.
Yeah, and the other thing that I think is wildly miscalculated is the lack of, I call them off-year tournaments, but we should see the African Cup of Nations. We should see Euros more. Like, if you're building towards the World Cup, whether it's 32 or 36 or 54 or 48 or 64, however many teams you want it to be, familiarize this country and others with the teams that are going to be represented there. I never understand why, if you're Fox, and I know the contract's running out, why you showcase the World Cup and then someone else has Euro and no one's showing the Africa Cup of Nations. Like, Africa put 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 11 teams into the round of 32. Like, people are now familiar with half of the countries that are playing. You should build off of that, but it kind of just goes away. And then 4 years later, we're like, oh, is this Africa team good, or is this one of the worst ones? Like, no one knows. It's like there are ways that you could educate on that quite easily. So it still feels like sometimes these networks, and I know they have other programming, but it still feels like they're 1 foot in, 1 foot out on soccer. And the foot that's in is only in every 4 years. And so we need to find a way to modify that a little bit.
You ain't kidding, my friend. Broadcast plans for Friday in Nashville.
Well, you'll be in Nashville. I'll be in the Kia Studios here in Atlanta.
Oh.
So we've got pregame, postgame. Obviously, Atlanta United kicks it back off. I think it's at 7:00. There's a TV schedule, and Big Boy Fox has decided to showcase to all of the audience enjoying the World Cup.
That sounds like it's going to be an added 20 minutes. It might be the super hyper mega kickoff.
It will be. So we've got that. And then also I'm looking forward to Sunday. I'm going to be there in South Downtown in the green area there, getting you set for the World Cup. I've got a show 2 to 6, but we'll be talking a lot of World Cup in that first hour, and then everyone can go ignore me for the 2 hours that follow. I'll be updating the game, but we'll be out there. So looking forward to Friday. MLS is back in action, and then Sunday, obviously a World Cup final, and I'm sure the watch parties all over the city will be huge, but you know which one I'll be at. So looking forward to it.
Yes, sir. We will be seeing you there at Soto. And as always, it's great to have you batting leadoff all week long with us here on the morning show. Appreciate you, my friend.
You got it, John. We'll see you soon.
There he goes, Abe Gordon, 92.9 The Game. And yeah, when Abe started drifting into the idea of, okay, field of 64 and all this kind of stuff, I was like, yeah, we need to go here. As he said, it was floated by Gianni Infantino about going to a field of 64, considering the success that has been seen in this tournament when it comes to the competition and level of play and all that kind of stuff. And to answer the question about the field of 64, like I said, I think that you would have an idea where it would be 16 groups of 4, and then it would end up as the top 2 teams. But yeah, when you had the idea, and I think you can pull this off. I think you can. And I'm fairly certain that is what part of the negotiations are going to be now with a television partner / streaming partner for this particular tournament. Hey, you saw what happened with 48. You saw the you saw the engagement, you saw the involvement, you saw how the host countries in the 26 tournament embraced the idea. So now it is time to take it to the next stage, if not in 2030, in 2034. So my guess is that the winning network, regardless of where it is going to be in a situation of either going out of the blocks into a field of 64 or having one more cycle of 48, then going to 64 for their second World Cup broadcast. I don't think that you're going to have a streaming partner or a broadcast partner. Let's phrase it that way. You're not going to have a broadcast partner that's attached to a product unless it's a part of the escalation of the field of 64 teams. And that's kind of and if it happens in the second tournament in that brick that is sold to your broadcast partner, so be it. If it is the broadcast partner that comes in and is 2030, like I said, it might be a one tournament trial balloon with a broadcast partner, or it could be one more of 48 and then going to 64 in 2034. And that would be the second tournament attached to your broadcast partner in that deal. I don't think that the field of 64, whenever it happens, is going to be part of the codicil section 25, subsection A, line 3, page 402 of this contract. Yeah, you're doing the field of 64, whether it's first or second, as a part of that grid. I think that's going to go down. Ricky Ricardo, that's Jose Mourinho getting a Netflix doc. I hope it's like the one where he's the fortune teller, and he's just telling like fortunes. That commercial I thought, which was actually pretty funny. So if he just sat in the stands the whole time and said, okay, and then we're going to win the second, then we win the third, 3-3-3. That, if we just did that for the and turn it into a sitcom for like 30 minutes. So I think that, and Abby, you are absolutely correct. The noise level on Wednesday, look, the noise level on Tuesday is going to be out of control. The noise level on Wednesday is going to be completely out of control. Nothing like getting a phone call on your landline. And the beauty of, and this is me stepping outside for a second, we still have a landline here because of folks of a certain demographic that still attach themselves to landlines. And our cable system drifts into letting us know it has the caller ID on the television screen. And it's always interesting to me to sit there and see who is using the landline and who doesn't know really how to get in touch with us here at Office HD. It's a funny observation. And that funny observation is opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. Starting your day with the most important stories in the game, the right way to start your morning. Black Pitch Coffee, part of the SDH community, showing up at events all over Atlanta. Try their home blend made with beans from Brazil and Guatemala, heavy bodied, notes of walnut, semi-sweet chocolate, and a rich world-class finish. Opening kickoff powered by Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. And to Abe's point about AFCON and how you can keep an eye on that, you can get that at BN Sports. And where can you get all the BNs? You can get that at Fanati's, fntz.co/soccer down here. You get all the BNs. You get Middle East. You get North Africa. You get AFCON, WAFCON. You get the CAF champion. You get the Champions League. You get all the World Cup qualifiers. You get Libertadores. You get Sudamericana. You get all of their European League play in France and Turkey and Poland. Poland, by the way, was crazy this past year. You also end up getting a TIC out of Argentina, which means you get Copa Argentina. You get their coverage of the Argentine national team. You get CDO Plus out of Chile, TVV out of Venezuela, unless you have a cable system that already has it. Then you don't have to buy it as an add-on. Not that we're discouraging that, but if you have a certain cable package, it's already there. You can get Liga 1 Max Pro out of Peru. You can get, what else am I forgetting? Like I said, Libertadores, Sudamericana, ties to Tigo Sports, ties to CATV, and all of the A and B, a lot of the A and B divisions in South America available for you in one place. And keep an eye on AFCON and WAFCON at BN. And to Abe's point, come in as educated as humanly possible when it comes to the African continent, other than subscribing to our friend Ali Howarth's Substack. Then you can do that at Fanati's, fntz.co/soccer down here. That link is important. It helps them out, it helps us out, and it helps you out with your streaming services and all the matches that you want to see around the planet. Fanati's, proud partners and friends here at SDH. So getting Fanati's and catching up with Abe about where to watch things. That was opening kickoff this morning. So Field of 64, back to that. Figured it was common. 32 nations, 98 through 2022. 2030 spread across 6 nations and 3 continents. 1930 hosts Uruguay. 2022 winners Argentina and Paraguay. The base offices for CONMEBOL, South America's football governing body, scheduled to host 1 match apiece at the start of the competition, with the remaining 101 games, since there are 104 matches in the 48-team tournament, split between Morocco, Portugal, and Spain. Back last September, FIFA held discussions over expanding the tournament again for 2030. This comes from Colin Miller at The Athletic. After receiving a formal pitch from a delegation of influential South American leaders. They're trying to get as many teams in CONMEBOL into the tournament as possible. Understandably so. For the 2030 tournament, and this would be part of the rationale for expanding to 64, is that you probably would get every member of CONMEBOL into the tournament. You would have the 10 teams or so, or you might go to 12 if you are in the African continent. Europe obviously would expand. You would probably end up getting more from CONCACAF, because as CONMEBOL goes, CONCACAF will follow here in this hemisphere. So Infantino with Blue Win, Swiss media outlet, quote, it, meaning a 64-team tournament, definitely an issue examined and discussed in the relevant committees after this World Cup. He reiterated the tournament was for the whole world, not just Europe and South America, end quote. He continued, Infantino. Every nation should be allowed to dream of participating in the World Cup. You can see that the quality of the teams is extremely high, and it's getting higher and higher all over the world. If you don't give smaller countries a chance to participate in the World Cup, they'll lack the incentive to keep improving. And we've seen this in the women's side. And I'm sure that there were folks this time around that were wondering, okay, if we go to 48, are we going to have the moments like we had when they expanded the Women's World Cup, where you had double-digit goals scored against teams from Asia, and once again they qualified through the rules of engagement, but when you go up against higher quality competition in group stage, you get those kinds of moments. And I'm fairly certain that there were a lot of folks going into this tournament that you're going to sit there and go, yeah, we're going to get blowout city, and it's not going to look pretty, and it's not going to benefit the game. But I would always maintain that if you don't expand the field, then how do you grow the game? That would be my larger point in all of this. If you just keep it at a set number, and I'm putting the economics to the side. Economics we know about, we've talked about it. Economics are there. I'm trying to think, was it the 2019 where we had, was it in France where we had the group stage and we had some big blowouts? Because I'm trying to think. And then the one team had scored and it had completely and totally, it had made that tournament for that team. 8 goals against for South Korea and South Africa and Jamaica. Jamaica lost 4-1, and they lost 5-0, and they lost 3-0. It wasn't Argentina and Scotland. It wasn't New Zealand. It was the Thailand match. That was the one that I was looking at. So Thailand in Group F in 2019, and we'll bring this up with Bart when he joins us in about 20 minutes. If you remember in Reims in the matchup with the United States and Thailand, it was 13-0. And those were 13 of the Thai 20 goals allowed in Group F back in 2019. Alex Morgan had 5. Rose Lavelle had 2. Sam Mewis had 2 goals each for Lindsay Heaps, Megan Rapinoe, Mallory Swanson, and Carly Lloyd. So Thailand gives up 5 to Sweden, 2 to Chile, 13 to the United States. And so that was, when you have a tournament like that and you have a result like that, you wonder, obviously, if you're growing the game. I would posit, and like I said, this is me walking through it, is that if you didn't have teams like Thailand in the tournament, and like I said, we'll talk to Bart because of him going to the Women's World Cup in 23. So this might be our leadoff topic this morning with Bart. If you didn't have those moments, how do you grow the game? Like I said, I'm pulling the economics and the rights fees and the TV out of it. If you don't expand the field, yes, Philippines give up 6 to Norway in 23. Then you have Zambia giving up 5 to Japan and 5 to Spain. Then they beat Costa Rica in match number 3. This is in 23. Then Vietnam gives up 3 to the U.S. They give up 2 to Portugal, and then they give up 7 to the Netherlands. Panama the same way. They give up 4 to Brazil. They lose in a shootout with France. It was 6-3. And then you lose to Jamaica 1-0. So it's teams like that and growth like that if you didn't have it, then you wouldn't be able to continue to grow the game. So I get the idea of expanding the field. I think you should, within reason. I think you can handle 64, but you're going to have moments like we had in the Women's World Cup in 23 and in 19. But I would posit if you didn't expand the field, then you're not growing the game, and then you would have 48 instead of 50 out of so little under 25% of the field. So you would have 64 out of 210, so 64. So you're going from basically 23% to about 30% of the field. And when you look at it that way, with 210 member associations and more that want to be members of the association, then I think to grow the game, you can get to 64. And I think, like I said, it's easier logistically with 16 groups of 4, 1 and 2 go in, and then you go from there. Instead of, third places and math and who's in and who's out. Don't get me wrong. It was exciting as hell, but it's just a little bit more cut and dried. Top two teams, everybody all the way through. So, when Bart comes in about 15 minutes, we'll kind of get into this a little deeper. But Infantino in the interview said that expanding the World Cup to 48 was 100% a success. Expansion faced criticism from participating nations. Ghanaian head coach Carlos Queiroz said after the group stage, it has devalued the qualification process and turned the tournament into something vulgar and ordinary. I would maintain that it's not vulgar and ordinary. I think the results themselves would give you that impression. But devaluing the qualification process, I think look, you look at CONMEBOL right now, it's still going to be cutthroat no matter how many teams would make it in through the mathematics of the tournament on the men's side. So I think that with all due respect to Carlos Queiroz, he's not 100% correct here. Infantino and FIFA had previously commissioned a feasibility study into holding the World Cup every 2 years rather than 4 before shelving that alteration. That would not have gone over well. That would have been, you're really screwing up. You want Carlos Queiroz to get mad? Doing it every 2 years would definitely spoil the qualification process. Literally, it's like running for the House of Representatives at that point. That's literally what you're doing. You're running for the House of Representatives. You get elected. 6 months later, you've got to start your re-election campaign. That's what doing the World Cup every 2 years would do. Like I said, literally, you are running for the next tournament 6 months into having qualified for it. So if you go in the tournament, literally 5 months after the tournament is done, regardless of when you finish and where you finish, you've got to start qualifying all over again to go in a 2-year cycle. That would have been folly. Mercifully, that got shelved. So Ignacio Alonso, Uruguayan football official at a FIFA Council meeting in March of last year. Proposal was spontaneously raised during any other business section during the meeting. Then last November, Alejandro Dominguez, president of CONMEBOL and a FIFA Veep, described the 64-team tournament as his dream, claiming such an expansion would unite the world just once. South America would be locked out from hosting duties until at least 2042, as FIFA's hosting stip dictates a continent can only stage the World Cup once every 3 editions. This means South America would be the primary host for just one World Cup in a 64-year period, 2014 in Brazil. Expanded tournament could mean Uruguay, Argentina, and Paraguay could host a full group each rather than just a match. Alexander Sefrin dismissed the proposal as a bad idea, saying it would damage both the tournament itself and Europe's qualifying competition. Man, your qualifying competition is all over the board. I think you're in Nations League Group C now, aren't you? That's why I'm wearing my San Marino sweatshirt today. North American counterpart Victor Montaliani at CONCACAF holds a similar view, saying it was, quote, not a great idea. So Montaliani, when he's asked about it, once again, late September, Dominguez was joined by Santiago Peña of Paraguay, Yamandu Orsi of Uruguay, AFA chief Chiqui Tapia, and Paraguay and Uruguayan counterparts Robert Harrison and Nacho Alonso. And so that extraordinary Congress had the 64-team tournament posed as an open question in the Centenary World Cup. 64 teams, 211 national teams. I thought 210, but it's 211. So Victor Montaliani said it's not a great idea. We haven't even kicked the ball for 48. This is back in September. And obviously they can study all they want, but it just doesn't feel right. Any decision to expand the tournament needs to be debated and approved by the FIFA Council. 2030 is the most sprawling to date. 3 continents, 6 countries. The workaround deemed insufficient by the South Americans, each getting 1 game, Paraguay, Uruguay, Argentina, before the remainder of the schedule is split amongst Spain, Portugal, and Morocco. And once again, that gets back into the whole thing of if you host this go-around in 2030 and get more matches, then you would only have that 1 hosting outside of 2030 in a 60-year period. Asia has hosted 2. CONMEBOL's minimal involvement in the 2030 competition has potential to lock them out of 2034 and 38. 6-nation, 3-continent tournament for 2030 perceived by as many as being a useful outcome for Saudi Arabia, which secured a clear path to 34 as 3 confederations, UEFA, CONMEBOL, and CAF, were locked out by hosting 2030. CONCACAF nations unable to bid for 34 because of the North American bid this time around. And so now the South American contingent wants to expand it to 64 teams. See this as a once in a 100-year opportunity, according to Dominguez. And so that was Adam Crafton when he was writing on the extraordinary meetings back in September. But that is where that's where we are. Under the idea of a 2030 tournament going to a field of 64. Just don't go to a field of 68 and have like 3 qualifying games or something in the Dayton, Ohio equivalent of wherever you're hosting the tournament in the future. Just don't go to 64 plus 4. Don't feed them into each region. If you're going to stick with 64, that's fine. Don't do like the 60. Don't do the Dayton Tuesday before the tournament starts and turn it into a wild card situation. 64 out of 211 would be going in. And 6 over 21 is what? Divide by 3, 29%. 2 out of 7 is 286 batting average. If you hit 2 out of every 7, you're batting 286. So you're in that neighborhood. 28.5%, 29%, so on and so forth. So that's the rundown. But then you add into it what we were discussing with Abe, and like I said, we'll work forward here a little bit. But you work with the idea of a new broadcast partner coming out of this deal, expanded tournament. You got to handle it. You got to know how to handle it, and it's probably the whole carrot and the stick approach. Hey, we're going to give you more ad inventory. We're going to give you more matches. We're going to go to a field of 64 to make up for the fact that you're going to be paying us billions of dollars for the 2030 and probably the 2034 tournaments. So that, to me, is where the give and take is going to be here. FIFA is going to be asking for the metric crap ton of money for 2030 and 2034. They're going to expand to 68. Gives the broadcast partner more opportunities to make ad revenue should they see fit to, or however they wish to handle the programming. So keep an eye on both of these elements, and we'll see where it goes. But do not be surprised if it goes to 64. South America gets more matches out of the deal, and the final is now being bandied about between both halves of this equation. Stadia that seats 115, and then you're looking at Morocco and being there, and so just keep an eye on the whole thing, and we'll we'll obviously keep you posted. But I still think that the whole carrot and stick idea is the notion of, okay, as a part of this deal, we're going to 64. You get more ad revenue out of the deal. Yes, you're paying us probably $3 billion, but you get more ad revenue opportunities out of the deal. Just thinking. So, U.S., Mexico, Jamaica, Costa Rica has not been confirmed yet because there are contracts that still have to be signed. The U.S. the 4-country bid for 2031, Abby, it's going in that direction. I think they're going to aim for November as the official announcement of 2031. And right now, the cities, I think if I remember correctly, there were of 11 cities in this hemisphere, or in the United States, technically, I think, it was 11 cities interested in being host venues for 31. Only 7 had agreed to the terms put forth by FIFA. And so there were 4 that were kind of like, nah, I'm not signing this yet. Considering the financial layout of hundreds of millions of dollars, while, yes, you are improving your infrastructure, FIFA is saying you're going to pay for this, and this. You're having prospective host cities for 31, sit there and go, nah, fam, we're not going to do it like we're doing it this year. So that's why you have not had the pomp and circumstance of announcements for 31 yet. It was an uncontested bid for the 4 nations to come forth to do it, but they have not signed all the paperwork. And the reports are that not everyone has agreed to terms in the United States with FIFA over the 9 gazillion page contract of, hey, you're going to pay for all of this and we're not going to pay for much and all that. So this will be a part of our missive and mandate after the World Cup is over, catching up with our markets to see what the financial outlay is, the benefit, and then try to figure out, okay, where do we go from here when it comes to 31? So that's kind of where we are with 31. You got cities that want to host, but they don't want to do it to the terms that they're having to agree to, that they agreed to for the 26 World Cup. They want things to be a little different in the contract as they get ready for 31 for a redo. All right, it is not quite 10 o'clock. And so kicking off hour number 2, technically is our hydration break. So we're going to bring Bart in for our hydration break. And so what I'm going to do, since we are hydrating, is since I am lacking a 2-liter here.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, it's like I only had like that much, and so I need to go get another 2-liter out of the garage to fill up for the hydration break. So fill a blister for me for about 30 seconds, and we will hydrate break together.
All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Happy Atlanta United match week. We are about to embark on
episode 149 while you're at it. Why don't you do that?
That's what?
Promote episode 149. Do that.
Yeah. So we just submitted episode 149. You can listen to that. We break down the U.S.'s unfortunate end to their run at a home World Cup. Talk about the Bosnia game, plus also that loss to Belgium. So you can go ahead and listen to that once John is going to drop that, hopefully after the morning show. So that'll come in your feeds later today. But we're going to talk about probably some of the wonderful refereeing decisions that Argentina has received over the past couple days, as well as, I'm sure, some other outside agent interference that may or may not have happened on a game this weekend as well. So plenty to talk about, I'm sure, John. Again, as we gear up for Atlanta United match week.
Outside interference, as he says. Okay, so episode 149, it's in the queue. I just have to produce it and turn it up. And so after this show is over, keep an eye out on all of your social media platforms for the release of SoccerForUSPod 149. Okay. We were getting into the notion, and we'll get into the Final Four here in just a little bit and all that kind of stuff, and we do have a 5 stripes don't stop, I'm fairly certain. Morning Wiley, and we're probably going to add one here in the next couple of minutes.
I was about to say, we just got a cryptic tweet.
Yeah,
I want to go on the record. I am opposed to adding players this summer. I think we should just cut everyone and bring up the twos. But that is my personal opinion. I guess Chris Henderson actually does want to win games this year, which has always proved us to be a good strategy for the past 5 years. So I guess we'll just do it again.
Yeah. So Hindi looks like he's trying to get some things done. And we're waiting for the 5 Stripes Don't Stop email, which traditionally shows up about right now. If you get a cryptic 5 Stripes Don't Stop tweet, then traditionally in and around the following hour is when you get the announcement of said new
also player. John should learn dates and opponents and locations for the USYNT friendlies in October. A rumor that we will be playing Spain.
Oh, well, okay. Definitely got to keep an eye. We got to keep
lots of news coming.
Yes, lots of news coming. Okay.
The first real dead Monday in like a month and a half of soccer world.
I know. Well, the thing is I was doing the math the other day, and by the time the tournament is over, obviously we still have things that we've got to do. So we're not stopping when the tournament ends on Sunday. We got to come back for the following week. At least here in this studio space, because God knows how many other days before Jason started doing stuff, it will have been a broadcast product 54 live days in a row for us. On this side of things, 54 days in a row straight, because that's what the tournament deserves. The field of 64. I was getting into this before you wandered in this morning, and Abe and I were talking about it a bit. Gianni Infantino has said in a past interview that he's looking at the field of 64, and
which means it'll happen.
Yeah, and I had mentioned that, outside of the idea of having basically 29% of the entire world chasing after a trophy, you're also in a contract year for a broadcast partner, at least in this hemisphere. Yep. And so that to me means yes. So that whatever broadcast partner wants to step up to the plate, you're going to be getting a field of 64 as part of your gig. Correct. Yet, Common, what are your thoughts? What were your initial thoughts on the field of 48, and what are your thoughts on the field of 64?
Okay, so I'm going to say something slightly controversial, but I think I like the field of 64 better than 48 because you cut the field in half to get to a field of around a 32. And I do feel like that's something that is a valid critique of a 48-team tournament, that when it's all said and done after group stage, you don't really eliminate that many teams.
Right.
I don't think that okay, I'm going to bring this to the US because I think this is a point that we did not make on episode 149, but I think it's something that mainly we just didn't feel like it was the time to make it, but something that is to be considered. Had the US played a round of 16 match in previous editions of the tournament, we would have played a number 2 finishing team. We would not have played Belgium. So the fact that we did end up playing a group winner may not happen in a field of 64. Who knows? I don't know how they would put it up, but
my guess
that round
would be 16 groups, 4 in each group, top 2 advance. So if you win, then you're playing a 2.
Right. So maybe that's the new format, as you do play a group winner in the round of 16, which is a significantly higher degree of difficulty than it has been in the past. I don't know. I understand the need to bring more competition into the field because it does make it feel like more teams have access and therefore more teams want to put money into their soccer programs. Obviously, Gianni Infantino's goal is world domination, and he's trying to do that via soccer. I got to be real honest, Johnny. There's no guarantee you're going to be part of this come 2030, let alone after that. Maybe this is his political play to entice some of the smaller nations and maybe a confederation like Oceania and even CONCACAF here to vote for him in future elections, because there's a lot of countries and well, I guess soccer federations not happy with him right now. I think that they are obviously very upset with the way that he handled Trump and the USA suspension of the suspension. I think a lot of them are a little upset with the way that hydration breaks and other things in this tournament have been forced upon them without any real research or conversation. So I do think that this feels to me like a political plan his part to get smaller nations like Italy to vote for him in the next, elections, so that, that they're, have a better shot at making a World Cup.
Right. Here we go. And it's your breaking news. It's not the Atlanta United. The Dateline Atlanta. Reigning Olympic champ U.S. women's national team returning to the field 2 October matches against Spain in what, and this is from the release in and of itself, 2 highly anticipated matches. USA hosts Spain at Audi Field October 10, 2:30 in the afternoon, Washington, D.C., and October 13 at Subaru Park in Chester, 7 o'clock Eastern time, and matches are presented by different partners in each match. October 10 at the home of the Washington Spirit features a pregame retirement celebration for Crystal Dunn, who was the NWSL playing for the Spirit in 2015. First 2,000 fans get Crystal Dunn commemorative special edition bobbleheads. That's cool.
I love that.
The matches against Spain will mark the USA's first matches in just over 4 months after a long break for club action following the June matches in Brazil. Quote from Emma Hayes, referencing of Spain. Tickets pre-sale July 14, July 16. So you have the sum total of 1 day and or 3 days to get your tickets for both of those matchups at Audi Field October 10, Subaru Park October 13. There you
go. John, we have other breaking news, so I'll let you go ahead and go through that unless you want me to give my thoughts real quick on these friendlies against Spain.
Give your thoughts quickly so that way I can set up the other broken news.
This is awesome. I love watching us play high caliber competition. Obviously, Spain is still ranked #1 team in the world right now in women's football, which is deserved. This is a marquee matchup. My only complaint, wish one of these was in an NFL-sized stadium. Audi is well, if you've heard me talk about Audi, you know my feelings about Audi Field. But both of these are pretty small venues. I mean, even compared to MLS stadiums. So I'm a little sad that we don't get a bigger stage, literally, for the 2 best teams in the world. But this is a fantastic get for the U.S. Obviously, we have qualification tournament at the end of November, beginning of December. And this is not necessarily preparation for that because we're not going to be playing a team at the level of Spain. But this is an awesome way to get fans in the stands and capture that momentum after a men's World Cup and hopefully win some folks over to the women's national team as you head into your own World Cup cycle.
Yes. Other breaking news. And then Bart and I come full screen one more time. It is now officially official. Junior Alonso has been signed through the 28-29 season. Recently helped Paraguay to the round of 16. Arrives on a free, spending the previous 2 seasons at Atlético Mineiro in Serie A in Brazil, occupying an international roster spot pending the receipt of his ITC, his international transfer certificate, and his P1 visa. Quoting Chris Henderson, a hardworking defender, helps add solidity and stability to the back line. Natural leader, reads the game very well, brings great experience from South America and Europe at the club and international level. Recently representing Paraguay at the 2026 FIFA World Cup. We're excited to welcome him to Atlanta. 422 professional appearances, 9+15 in all comps, including first divisions Paraguay, France, Spain, Argentina, Brazil, and Russia. Spent the majority of his career with Atlético Mineiro in Brazil. 240 matches, 3 separate stints from 2020 to 26, winning both League and Brazilian Cup titles in 21, 4 goals and 7 assists, serving as captain dating back to his first season of the club back in 2020. Native of Asunción, Paraguay, began his career in 2013, transferred to Atlético Mineiro 2020, stayed on loan, time at FC Krasnodar. So bottom line is this, signed on a free, 2026, signed today on a free through the 28-29 season. So it is the rest of this year, the sprint season, and then the 2 seasons following that. So that's what you're getting, the 33-year-old defender, Junior Alonso.
Love signing a 33-year-old defender to a multi-year contract. That's great business by the Atlanta United front office. But hey, we are into silly season, a long silly season, and this is the first signing that I'm sure Chris Henderson is looking for multiple signings.
Yes.
Again, they're going to try to salvage the season for some reason or another, but I do think bringing in a World Cup veteran on a free transfer is a good piece of business.
Mm-hmm. And also remember, just because you sign someone for the length of a deal that you sign him to, it just means you're controlling the asset for that length of time. It is not
for a 33-year-old, yeah.
And if you want to hang on to him and he continues to produce throughout the entire length of the contract, yeah, cool. But if someone else is interested in him, you have control of that asset through the end of 28-29. And if somebody wants to jump in and say, hey, we want him, and you go, how much is it worth to you? That way you've got control of the asset. So, and that's in any case, not just in a 33-year-old defender, but when you sign someone for a lengthy deal, it is to control the asset as much as it is to bring that player in under your umbrella. So there we are.
For a 33-year-old defender. Good job for Atlanta United getting their business done.
There we go. So 5 stripes don't stop. Junior Alonso, pending receipt of his international.
Can I ask an actual question? Sorry, because this is now where I'm thinking.
You want to ask an actual question on a Monday?
I know this is not snarky about Atlanta United, the team that pretends to be an MLS team at times. But Alonso played on the left side basically throughout the entire World Cup. This means we have 3 left backs.
3 that can play left back. I would.
Well, I guess that's the question: is what does this mean formationally? Because is he going to play center back? Is he more going to be playing a left back? Is he playing the left-sided center back? I'm interested to see, because in theory, I think it's fair to say, John, and I'm again not being snarky,
right?
It's fair to say Atlanta United's whatever we've been trying to do on the field this year has not worked fairly well. Maybe this could signal some sort of a formation change in a sense for Atlanta United, and possibly a 3-back system is now a little bit more viable than it has been previously, because you actually bring in someone who's probably good at that position, or not good, experienced at that position. Just an interesting, thought process now that we see this signing, because we'd also know there's a couple other center backs supposedly around the team. So slight question there.
Yeah, they are circling in the orbit. Main position, as all of my pop-up windows start happening from Transfermarkt. The main position that Junior Alonso has played in his career is center back. He has played left back in his time.
Yeah.
So it can be either left-sided center back, right-sided center back, or left back. So the center back locations, that's where he's the main bread and butter is right there. And then left back, he has played there in the past. So that's what to look for when it comes to Junior Alonso, whose player agent, by the way, is Eagle Eye. And so that's how we picked this stuff. That's how we picked this stuff up from our friends at Transfermarkt. Then we can sit there and say, okay, is there any commonality? So we do an account on the gram or the Insta, as the kids say. So we'll keep an eye on that. So, as we feel to 64, and I kind of wanted to get into the idea of what I was talking about with the Women's World Cup when they expanded there, and well, because there was the notion of when the Women's World Cup expanded their field, that you were going to have more moments like we had
from US 16 to 24 to 32,
right?
Yeah.
That you were going to have more moments like we had with the U.S. and Thailand in the overall, but we haven't in the men's. I mean, we had the Curacao-Germany match where it was 1-0, and then it was 1-1, and then Germany was like, we've had our fun here in Houston, kids, and so now let's get back to where it's supposed to be. I don't know, going from 48 to 64, logistically, you should be okay. 16 groups of 4, you move 1 and 2, so you don't have to do with math. But maybe at 64, we have more of the challenges and more of those quote unquote Thailand USA results than we've had here in the tournament where we've had 48, where we really haven't had. I mean, Tunisia was one, but they were a dumpster fire, and that's insulting to dumpsters, I know. They were just off the rails completely as a group, and there was internal strife and everything. Curacao came in, had their moment in the sun, and then Germany was just kind of like, yeah, we're done. So maybe we've bypassed Thailand v. USA Women's World Cup in the field of 48. Do we get that more at 64, I'm guessing?
Well, I think you have to wait until you see where these teams will come from, because to your point about Tunisia, it's very fair to say there were a lot of better African countries that were left out, right? I think that's Tunisia qualified, not saying they didn't deserve it. That's not my point here. Just saying that, like, there were other African nations that probably would have performed better in this World Cup than Tunisia. I'm not sure if CONCACAF would automatically get more than the 6 spots, because if you remember, we got 6 spots because all 3 host nations qualified automatically. You know, would that leave room for Costa Rica or Jamaica to finally qualify? Well, Jamaica wouldn't qualify. They'll find a way to not to. But, you know, Costa Rica or Guatemala. I don't know if they would put up a 7-1 result. No offense to Curacao, but, like, you know, I don't think they, or if they do, it would be similar. It just depends on where they come from, right? If you're opening up multiple slots for, say, Oceania. Well, you know, our friends at the Marshall Islands now have a chance to qualify for real. Are they putting up a 7-1 result? Probably worse. That might get into the Thailand, you know, realm, if you will. So it does depend on where the extra spots are coming from. If you're inviting more teams from Europe, Africa, I don't think you're looking at too much of a problem. But when you get into the lower realms of CONCACAF, Asia, and if you invite more Oceanian teams, like, I do think we could reach into that. But even at on the men's side and on the women's side now, it is harder to just beat up on a team like the U.S. did Thailand in that 2019 tournament. The teams are getting better. And hopefully we don't see that, because hopefully that means that teams are putting investment into their youth development, their domestic league, so that you're not having this discrepancy in quality. That would be my biggest concern with the 64, though, is who gets more teams? Who gets more teams, right? Because I know Europe believes they should get, you know, all 64 teams in.
True.
CONMEBOL is like almost at capacity. Like, are you just going to let all 10 CONMEBOL teams in?
I mean, at this point, all 10 of those teams, I think, might be ranked in the top 64 anyway.
Again, with CONCACAF, I just, maybe you get 2 more, so you're at 8. I don't think that's necessarily increasing the quality of the tournament. I do just caution, this does feel like Johnny politicking for some votes, because not that he knows he's in trouble, but he's been politicking for votes to stay in power for a while now. And if that means you can get, you know, some more votes from, I don't know, Slovenia, Serbia, and Guatemala, maybe he likes it. I don't know.
Well, I mean, if you get a lot of the developing nations, and you don't necessarily have to rely on the power company, the power countries. You get all the little guys together; they're that block for you. And for the record, one team in CONMEBOL is outside of 64. Everybody else,
Venezuela or Bolivia?
Bolivia, 77, and everybody else is top 50.
I mean, that's the question, is where do you, right now they got what, 7 in to the last World Cup?
It's 6 plus the qualifier.
Plus the one, that's right. So they got 7 that way.
So that was your 7th.
So we shall see, John. I'm not a huge fan of 64. The only thing I would say is that I like that it would be a little bit more of a easier math to get to the round of 32. But who knows? Maybe Infantino will find a way to make the 3rd place teams get in, and we'll have a round of, I don't know, 48. And then I don't know.
Send him to Dayton. It was so it was 5 plus 1.
Actually, that is a good point, John. I'm gonna have to say this now. This brings up a point for World Cup hosting that has been on my mind for non-US host countries after this World Cup.
Okay.
You're going to have to reduce the minimum capacity to 30,000 seats, I think, because even if you look at a place like Germany or Spain or the one who complains the most, England, y'all got to realize that having 14 stadiums above 40,000 that are also up to FIFA standard and would still be at 40,000 plus after the FIFA comes through. I mean, if you remember, Atlanta Stadium's capacity is 68,000, which we all know is
in this configuration because you
right.
have allowances for international media and suites and other things.
So you get my point that a 40,000 seat stadium in the Premier League or in the Bundesliga now becomes a 38,000 seat stadium.
Yeah.
Right. FIFA's going to have to reevaluate. Plus, you're now talking 64 training sites for these nations, which, again, when people talk about Canada not hosting a whole lot, they didn't have the host sites. And it's not just stadiums, it's where are these teams training? Because even if you put them in Edmonton, which I think Commonwealth Stadium should have been a stadium in the World Cup, where are they training? Calgary, Edmonton, where are they training? And so these are all the considerations you have to now put into a World Cup host bid, and you're looking at only a handful of countries who are able to host it on their own, which then would mean we're having more multi-host countries. But I don't know. I don't have a problem with that. I think having the World Cup being hosted by multiple countries is not the end of the world. I think that is okay in some sense, but maybe not the 6 countries that are hosting in 2030. But this is going to put strain on, a country that bought the World Cup in 2034. How are they going to do it? Because Lord knows they ain't got 64 training sites. And I know they got more money than God, but I don't know. That, to me, I don't get how that's going to work. Maybe it'll happen after 2034. I think expanding right now, or any talks of expansion right now, is silly and just feels like it's politicking from a certain dude who feels a little bit like he's losing his grip on power because he has allowed power to get to his head.
Okay, so here's and I found this quickly, and the laptop and the desktop actually behaves. So here's your host sites. Championship Stadium in Irvine, basically the Great Park Sports Complex. That was where the U.S. was. The U.S. was in Irvine, California. University of Kansas, Sporting Kansas City, Oakland Roots and Soul Training Facility in Alameda, California. UC Santa Barbara before folks started getting mad about the surface. Starfire for Belgium. RSL for Bosnia and Herzegovina. Columbia Park Training Facility, Morristown, New Jersey for Brazil. Water Sportsplex in Tampa for Cabo Verde. National Soccer Development Center, Vancouver for Canada. Jalisco, Mexico at Atlas headquarters for Colombia. DR Congo is at the Houston Sports Park. Ivory Coast at Subaru Park, or Philadelphia Union Stadium, as it is referred to in the release. Croatia was at Alexandria Episcopal High School. They were one of 4 high schools to host teams in this field of 48. Curacao was at FAU. Czechia was at Mansfield Multipurpose. They broke it in for North Texas SC. Ecuador was at Columbus Crews Performance Center. England was at Swope Soccer Village. They still are. Egypt was at Gonzaga. France was at Bentley University in Waltham, Massachusetts. Germany was at Wake. Maybe that was their problem. Ghana was at Bryant University in Smithfield, Rhode Island. Haiti was at Stockton University in Galloway Township, New Jersey. Iran moved from the University of Arizona to Sholos headquarters. Iraq was at the Greenbrier in West Virginia. Japan was at Nashville SC. Jordan was at the University of Portland. Korea Republic was at Chivas headquarters. Mexico was at the National Training Center. Morocco was at the Pingree School in Basking Ridge, New Jersey. Netherlands were at Kansas City Currents Training Facility. There were 4 that were in the Kansas City area. New Zealand at University of San Diego. Norway, UNC Greensboro. Panama was in New Tecumseh, Ontario at the Nottawasaga training site. So that's 2. Paraguay, Spartan Complex at San Jose. Portugal, Palm Beach Gardens, Florida at the Gardens North County District Park. Qatar was at Westmont College in Santa Barbara. Saudi Arabia was at Austin FC. Scotland was at Charlotte FC. Senegal was at Rutgers. South Africa was at Pachuca. Spain was at the Baylor School in Chattanooga. Sweden was at FC Dallas. Switzerland was at SDJA. That's 4. The San Diego Jewish Academy, where they had the snakes, and they actually had the graphic of don't go past this point, otherwise you get snakes. Tunisia was at Rayados. Turkey was at Arizona before they was at Arizona. Uruguay was at Mayakoba in Mexico and Cancun, and Uzbekistan was at Atlanta United's training center. That's 48. And that was handled in this country fairly easily. And 4 high schools were a part of this discussion to get it to 48. You get to 64 and you're in a solo country.
I mean, you just can't do it. And even then, I mean, you're looking at legitimately, I've sketched it out.
There you go.
You're looking at France and Germany having to host, because you can't do a Benelux bid because there's only 2 40,000 plus seat stadiums in both Belgium and Netherlands.
Wow.
You'd have to expand, right? Can't do like a Germany, Austria, Switzerland bid. Austria and Switzerland, between the two, even only have 1 40,000 plus seat stadium. So this is the issue you're getting into, is training sites, which a lot of European countries would have. You're looking at Korea, Japan again, being the only Asian country outside of China. China doesn't want to host, being able to host a World Cup. I'm telling you, not even Saudi Arabia could pull this off, because it's just, again, it's about 64 host team sites, unless you're looking at teams sharing training sites, which good luck with that, FIFA.
Okay, hang on. So let me see what was done when they had it in Qatar. Hang on. So Qatar, you're having me spell Qatar on a Monday. Qatar World Cup training sites.
Well, is that the example we need to be following?
Well, but it's for a country, that was, a Middle Eastern country. No, I need the 22 that are team-based camps. Okay, team-based camps, Qatar 22. So according to our friends at Marhaba, the Qatar Information Guide, team-based camps, let's see, Qatar University, Aspire Academy, Hilton Resort, Westin Doha, Banyan Tree Doha. You got a lot of hotels here. You got a lot of hotels and resorts that are hosting these teams back in the Qatari World Cup. Ghana stayed at the DoubleTree, by the way, by Hilton in Doha. Japan stayed at the Radisson Blu. Morocco stayed at the Wyndham Doha West Bay. Spain was at Qatar University. Tunisia was at the Wyndham Grand Doha West Bay Beach. So, I mean, you're talking about a lot of folks staying in hotels and maybe having to share practice times or figure out how to do it independently. I mean, that's a single country host. You better have your ish together, or you better have folks coming in on short flights where they can like hop out and go 30 minutes on a flight to like UAE or Bahrain or something, and then they can come back. That's the only thing.
It's not possible at the 64 team world. It's just not. Even the US, I'm putting that, like, even the US would not be able to do that. It's just a lot of strain on one country. But oh well, FIFA's going to try to make money, as Nick Alipi says in the chat. They're going to make more money the way, and don't buy the bullshit. Sorry,
there's the rating for a Monday.
Sorry, well, it is that it's all going 100% going back into football. No, it's not. That's a bald-faced lie. It just is. Sorry.
I still
going back into someone's pocket that may or may not be associated with football.
Yeah. And so World Cup expansion to Electric Boogaloo. Yes, the quest for more money. But like I said, I still think that whomever your new broadcast partner is going to be, or whomever your broadcast partner is going to be, because they're going to charge you everything for it over the however many World Cups you will be purchasing those rights, part of the field of 64 will be a part of it, so you can make back ad revenue. I think that's going to be the flip in all of this. All right, so Final Four, how's your bracket?
Bracket's not great. It's okay. I had Colombia winning the whole thing, and the only reason I picked Colombia is because you have to be different. And this is my generic rule about bracket challenges: is you can't pick the one everyone's picking. So everyone's picking France. I had Colombia winning because
I had
again, I feel like you want to be. Yeah, that's fair. But a lot of people were picking France or Argentina, right? Like that, or so I picked Colombia because I want to be different.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's okay.
Okay. Over the weekend, we had Argentina again for the third match in a row, basically having to suffer to make it through. And I have not seen. I've seen like Zapruder film and things like this. Did you watch the Norway match?
I did not. Yeah, I did not catch this incident live.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like it didn't register for me, right?
Yeah.
Because I was, it just didn't. Watching all the different angles, I can see why folks think that it hit a wire for the camera. I totally understand why. I am not going down the rabbit hole of the conspiracy theory that somehow the ball sensing technology was turned off and it didn't pick up touching a large cable wire. Those things are not small.
No, they're not. I mean, it literally is. You need somebody who knows X, Y, and Z axes and can do this so that it fits.
They're not small.
No,
they're also made of like hard material. This is not a strand of hair which it picked up. Which, by the way, I'm tired of this Croatian nonsense. He was offside. He was offside. Just say you don't understand the laws of the game and leave it at that. He was offside. It's fine that you don't understand them, but stop pretending like that was some egregious robbery when he was offside. It's fair to say that you think the ball hit the wire across the field. If you look at that film, you can see that the ball does in some way, shape, or form, due to something, fall.
Yeah.
Is that because the way he kicked it? Maybe. People kick the ball with weird spin all the time. It was going this way and then falls down. Sometimes physics with the ball spinning like that does that.
And in the 200,
is it because it
200 in the 200 level at the 300 level at Hard Rock, if you hit wind in a swirl, it could go,
which is also very possible because of the height that it achieved, and that stadium is weird because unlike a lot of them, it's technically open air, and the way that they do have the corners open. So I don't know. The proper restart is a drop ball.
Yeah.
For people who care, but again, there's no way the referee could fully see that or expect that, because I'm going to be also honest, we're not looking up at the ball a lot of times when the ball's in the air like that. You know why? Ain't nothing wrong going to happen up there. The dumb stuff's happening on the ground.
actions down.
You look to make sure you know where the ball is headed, and then you go look at the stupid stuff that's happening on the ground where the ball is headed.
Yeah.
So there's no reason why the referee on the field would have seen it. Obviously VAR should have in theory been able to look at it, because this was a change of possession that started the attacking phase of play for England, right? Like this was a goal kick for Norway, which means it's their possession. If it hits this wire and then England then gains possession, that would be a change of possession leading to the start of the attacking phase of play for England. So in theory, I do think it should have or could have, I don't know how everyone will approach it.
Sure.
Looked at via the VAR review. But again, the video assistant referee would have to also look at this and go, yeah, that definitely hit the wire, or had the ability to look at quickly at the heart sensor of the ball or whatever and see that it did hit a wire. And again, I don't think that you can just turn that off or on. I don't know. I know there's a conspiracy theory for every damn thing. We're going to talk about it with Argentina coming up, but sometimes things just happen, unfortunately, in this game. And that doesn't mean it's a conspiracy theory.
Yeah. Then the Embolo second yellow. I wanted to literally, you
don't dive,
especially after getting an initial yellow card. You're already on the hook, sir.
I have a problem with the commentary team talking about this, and no offense to Landon or Ian, because I think that they are obviously looking at this as proper football men, but don't dive. That was a very once you looked at the replay, it was a very clear and obvious dive, and it was such a good dive, I will say, in live action that it resulted in a yellow card for an Argentinian player. Which was a proper in my opinion, especially at that junction of the game. I thought that was a proper yellow card to give an Argentinian for a foul like that. It looked like it was a harsh foul coming through as the player's legs are behind him and he kicks it out. Looked like the defender kicked the trailing leg late. That's a yellow card. That's a yellow card for a reckless challenge, right? Well, then you look on the replay and you look at Embolo, just leaping off the field and then kicking his leg back look, I know it's Argentina. They dive all the time. You can talk about whatever you want. They embellish all the time.
Brazil
was a dive.
Brazil is better. They do it more than Argentina does.
Yes, they do.
Both
teams are great.
Brazil is your league leader. Yes.
Yeah. Both teams love doing it.
Yeah.
But it was a dive. It was a very clear and obvious dive. And therefore, in this case, if you give a yellow card to a player and go, oh, actually, no, that wasn't a foul on them. That was a simulation by the attacker or whatever. You have to take away the yellow card for the defender and you give the yellow card to the attacker. And people are like, oh, well, if you wouldn't have given a yellow card to the defender, it wouldn't have happened. Right. When you looked at it, that was a deserved yellow card in theory. When you saw it live, it was a deserved yellow card for, I forget who it was on Argentina, but the Argentinian defender.
I think it was Paredes, but yeah.
I think so. But, not germane to this real conversation. Yeah. That was a yellow card. And then you look at it and go, oh, no. Very similar, as we saw in the USA-Paraguay match with Miguel Almiron, who clearly dove. And by diving, got a yellow card issued to the defender, Tim Ream. And then you look at it on a replay and you go, Tim didn't do anything there. That's just what happens. Now, I'm not a huge fan of this extension of the mistaken identity part of VAR protocol being, applied here. But at the same time, I think this is FIFA legitimately trying to take an extra step to rooting out simulation. Because again, we've talked about it. There's a difference between embellishing and simulation. I think Argentina is great at embellishing, especially when you talk about Messi. He's great at embellishing to get a foul. He also is very good at staying on his feet when he wants to get a foul. But then people are looking at the same foul where a Switzerland player runs through the spot and runs into Messi. The referee waits a beat and then calls a foul. Well, they're trying to say that this is some evidence of corruption. And it's like, no, Messi drew a foul. The referee looked at the ball, go to an Argentinian player and said, oh, okay, cool. Keep playing. And Argentina goes, no, actually, we'll take the foul, which they do by not doing anything.
Right.
And the ref says, okay, fine, here's your foul. That is a good application of advantage. Sorry. Just because it happens to Argentina. Look, Abby, I'm talking to you right now because you send me stuff all the time trying to make it look like Argentina. Yes, Argentina gets the benefit of a lot of referee calls. Not every single call that goes in Argentina's favor is somehow rigged or corrupt or whatever. These two incidents that people are pointing at were correct by the referee crew. Sorry. You just don't like to admit that sometimes things actually are true.
I'm trying to think of what else I had on the board. Let's see. It was the Embolo. It was the Embolo second yellow, and the guy wire.
Those were the controversial parts of okay. I think that the weekend. I'm trying to think the France Morocco match didn't really have anything of consequence.
We haven't had anything to talk about with Ivan Bartone. I mean, this is the scary part in all of this, man.
But he's been so good this tournament. He gets a semifinal.
He gets a gold star. I mean, he gets a gold star on the books. So then let me ask you this, the overarching officiating question. How do you think officiating has been in the tournament on the whole from what you've seen?
I think it's been inconsistent, and you have VAR to thank for that, because I do think VAR has been inconsistent in their intervention. And part of that is because I think FIFA has tried to tell them to not intervene as much, which I think we all agree is a good thing. But you're going from a lot of people who are in leagues that are used to a little bit higher standard of intervention, maybe, and are now being told not to. But then they're going, but I think that's a clear and obvious foul or error, I should say. Yeah. It's kind of hard. I think my biggest issue is FIFA implemented a lot of modifications to the laws of the game that are not in the current laws of the game, by the way. They're not in the most current version because they are applied now and well, technically, I guess if they were published 7.1, or I think they're published 7.15 maybe,
Okay.
they'll be in the next version of the laws of the game.
Okay.
And so my issue is you have a lot of referees and video assistant referees and all these people who are operating under laws of the game they have never operated under or really been trained under. I'm sorry, a month of training while these referees are professionals and can do it. Your first match being a World Cup match and going, okay, now you got to implement this 5 seconds for a throw in, or now you got to implement this for VAR, or now you got to implement this for that. That's tough. I'm telling you, that's tough. Usually you get, literally you'll get friendlies and there were some friendlies leading up to it that like did have water breaks, but that's not the same as, okay, we need you to do the 5 second for a throw in thing. Because in a friendly, it's not as contentious as it's just not.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of these are because FIFA decided to start making these modifications real and live ahead of this World Cup that were not in play at all, really. Which I'll say this is maybe why I was talking with one of my referee friends, friend who was also a referee, I should say, about this last night. We were joking that Ivan Barton is getting the semifinal, but we're like, it wouldn't surprise us if Ismail Elfath is our referee for the final. And one, he's had some good performances this World Cup. Two, when you think about a lot of these modifications that they implemented for this tournament, where were they tried out?
They were tried out here.
And so of anyone who's comfortable with making sure players get off the field after however many, 10 seconds, adjudicating okay, if you get treatment, you got to be off for a minute. Maybe not quite the 5 seconds for a throw in or go into that kind of stuff, but like more comfortable with it than a lot of the other referees have been. I'm not saying Elfath will, but he did get I think the third place or a semifinal in 2022. He's had multiple club championship finals, especially here in CONCACAF, but he also got the UEFA CONMEBOL Super Trophy Shield imaginary title thing.
Yes.
So it wouldn't surprise me if we're looking at an American referee with the whistle in a World Cup final. If you remember, 2023, we had an American crew because the U.S. was knocked out in the round of 16, which is another factor of, obviously Argentina, Spain, France, England, none of their referees are going to be part of the World Cup going forward because you're not going to put any of those nations referees on a semifinal. And then obviously you can't book them for the final. Like you're booking referees now for the semifinal. You have a group of probably 6 to 12 referees you're considering for the finals and semifinal after the round of that we just played, the quarterfinals. So like you're scheduling ahead, right? Ivan Barton is not refereeing the final. Let's just put it that way, right? Because you're nothing against them. You're just not booking them
right
like that.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't surprise me if Elfath is one of them. I get your maybe would get a UEFA, but that's only if you get UEFA versus UEFA in the final.
Yeah.
And even then, you can't have France, England, or Spain in there, so you're getting a German probably.
Yeah.
Who knows how that's going to go. So a lot of these assignments are very fluid because you have some stipulations. Obviously, for some reason, the English media was all up in arms about how the English referees are banned. That was the headline, banned from refereeing an Argentina match. I'm like, well, y'all fought a literal war not too long ago and still have tensions with each other. Because,
it's in, and we are efforting a political science 101 segment so we can let everybody know about
the Falklands War, the war for sheep.
Yeah, so it's two bald guys.
The war for sheep and seals. Yeah.
So we're efforting that as a part of the history heading into this match. So our first choice guy, he sent us an email this morning. But yeah, you can't have Letexier in a match coming up because of the attachment with the final four teams. So that's kind of where we're at.
So that's just the kind of the problem here is you are looking at most likely a non-UEFA referee.
Mhm.
Again, CAF could probably be a good one. You're probably not booking a South American referee again because if you're, you got a South American team in the Final Four.
Yes.
So I would imagine it's going to be. I haven't been impressed with a lot of the Asian referees.
So you're thinking,
you're
thinking CAF or you're thinking CONCACAF?
I am. It wouldn't surprise me. They may have a CONMEBOL official set aside in case it's an all UEFA final, but again, that's very unlikely because you just can't wait until then. You can't wait until we know who's playing to assign it necessarily.
Yeah, we've got your hotel room on hold. Don't leave.
Yeah.
Don't check out. So yeah, booking officials. It's like the Hotel California. Episode 149. What's going on there?
Well, we're talking about. It starts off pretty sad. Not gonna lie. And then it gets a little happy when we talk about Bosnia, and then it gets back to being a little sad and upset. But it's reviewing the 2 knockout round games the U.S. played, and obviously talking about the tournament as a whole. We do save kind of the bigger discussions for later. We'll record after the World Cup is over about the what's next for U.S. soccer, because that seems to be the only discussion and how, well, if we just implement pro rel, John, we'll all of a sudden win a World Cup the next, 4 years, despite.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're going to get into that later because I have so many. I don't have that many thoughts about pro rel. I have 2 major thoughts about pro rel, and it's just. We'll get into that when we record. But what's next? The big conversations will happen after the World Cup ends.
And the wild thing is that the next episode for the SoccerForUSPod will be 150.
Yeah, 150, which means it's perfect for the big conversations about how do we fix U.S. soccer, because everyone has a solution that obviously can just be implemented like that, and. Will suddenly win World Cups because, all these other nations that have free academies and promotion relegation win World Cups all the time.
Yes, they do.
Just ask Brazil how easy it is, or Germany.
Yeah.
Or Sweden, or Norway, or Portugal, or Italy. Oh, so there's more factors that go into having a good soccer team than just we have promotion relegation and professional clubs that provide free academies. Weird.
4 of those 6 programs are either having a search for new coaches or blowing up their front offices and trying to build from the bottom up again. So, 4 of those 6, as he has his tea. As always, my friend, it's great to catch up with you on Mondays to kind of get the lowdown of everything. Episode 149, the SoccerForUSPod, will be up later this morning. And then we will be waiting for episode 150, episode CL. Of the SoccerForUSPod. That's crazy. Well done.
Hope to see some of y'all in Nashville on Friday. Probably not a lot given how things, but I'll also be in Charlotte next week. So,
okay. So you're going
because I'm silly and forgot to cancel my season ticket holder away tickets before the World Cup. Oh well.
Hey, so you got Charlotte. And you got an all-star game after that too. So it's a good run. Nashville and Charlotte. It's good road trips. As always, my friend. Great to see you. We'll catch up with you around the corner.
Bye, y'all.
There he goes. He's gonna have his mug of morningness and go. Episode 149, like we said, SoccerForUSPod. That's going to be up later this morning. Taking the tour around the World Cup, Slaven Bilic has returned as Croatia's head coach, signing a deal through Euro of 2028, becoming the first manager in the country's history to serve a second term. Previously managed from 2006 to 2012, replacing Zlatko Dalic, who departed after a 9-year tenure that included the World Cup final in 2018 and the 2022 third-place finish. When asked about it, plans a possession-oriented, aggressive passing style and has already spoken to Luka Modric about his international future. We played the sound from Thomas Tuchel, but we'll play it again just to let you be reminded of what happened after the match, where they won, but he wasn't happy. So here's Thomas Tuchel after the match.
Absolutely, no one disputes that. I'm impressed with the shift that they put in, the effort, team spirit, the belief, and to overcome adversity and to dig in and find ways to win is on the absolutely highest level. They cannot get enough praise for that. but I'm also a football coach, and I think we can play better. In general, I think it was not a high-level game. I think we had better games in general. We had a lot of momentum swings for both teams. So, yeah, full credit to the team. We found a way. We're in the last 4. This is, of course, the most important. But the analyzing head of me and the football coach in me still thinks that we can and have to play better football.
And so today we will get the MD-1s from France and Spain, and we'll find out if the 2 coaches there will have anything to say leading into matches. Do not anticipate anything resembling any kind of injury updates outside of the obvious. You're probably going to get 2 coaches who are going to play it very, very close to the vest in a World Cup semifinal that is going to be at Jerry World tomorrow afternoon. And the MD-1s for Atlanta are tomorrow. We're anticipating late afternoon, early evening. We will all learn together when those times are posted, and we will let you know what the latest is there. Thomas Tuchel openly criticized the team's sloppy performance and loss of control. According to Opta, possession went from 67.7% to 27.1% in extra time. Jude Bellingham, when he was asked about it, suggested Tuchel didn't understand playing in brutal humidity against elite opposition. Once again, reigniting tensions from last autumn. Yeah, the quote was, yeah, well, whatever. It's difficult out there. Maybe he doesn't know what it's like to play in those kind of conditions against Erling Haaland, Odegaard, Nusa, Sorloth, and he kind of took a dig at Thomas Tuchel. And so, Jude Bellingham was not happy with how the play was characterized. But Jude Bellingham, 6 goals in this tournament compared to 6 in all of his other international matches leading in. So that back and forth continues. Top-rated player in the tournament for England. Argentina, once again, they had to work their way around 10-man Switzerland. The hybrid press, they're shadow marking Alessandro Martinez. Despite scoring the most goals, 17 heading into the semis, Argentina has run the least and been outrun by opponents in every game. Be wary of those kinds of statistics because of the context in which running is considered, because I know a lot of folks will sit there and go, well, Messi doesn't run. He doesn't run all day. He doesn't have to. Same with Erling Haaland. He doesn't run. He doesn't have to. When it's necessary, he does. But there was a great all 22 that was posted on social media where Lionel Messi was gauging where to pass and how to orient and trying to stay in line, to stay onside and all those kinds of things. So there's some really good all 22s out there to show you that Messi doesn't have to run all day on offense to get things done for Argentina. It is selective, and yes, he doesn't run all day, but he still does impact the match in his 3-dimensional thinking. So that was also a part of it. FIFA also granted Argentina permission to wear the black armbands to honor former captain Antonio Ratin, adhering to rules that require the honoree to be a football figure. Germany dropped to 12th in the FIFA World Rankings after their loss to Paraguay, marking the 3rd consecutive World Cup where they failed to reach the round of 16. Spain, ahead of their semifinal with France, will have traveled 9,000 kilometers, so that's like 5,700 miles, within a 20-hour flight time, 6 time zone changes. France remained in Boston, had an extra day of rest. And South Africa, once again, you now have I'm trying to see how it was phrased here. Now there is a police probe over the passing of Jaden Adams, the South Africa national team player whose body was found over the weekend in Cape Town. So you now have a police probe in Adams' death. In Senegal, interim head coach Pape Thiaw dismissed despite guiding the team to AFCON qualification following the 2-0 World Cup qualifying defeat to Sudan. So you've got Bilic, you have Pape Thiaw, you also have Diego Forlan, who looks like he's going to be named the new head coach in Uruguay. So keep an eye out for all of that. Let's see, I'm trying to see if there's anything else that I might have missed this morning. So we'll look into that in a bit. Let me see. I think we're getting close to all of the other news in the morning. All right. So getting into the other highlights and other stuff to get into this morning, the U20s on the U.S. Youth National side, they still have another couple of days left in their training camp down in Fayetteville. Yesterday, they had the second of two friendlies. First friendly was a 1-1 draw with England late last week. Then they had a matchup with Colombia that was late last night. And here is the one goal in the match. It's called by Jason. And was it Jason and I think it was Madison? Madison Chance. So Jason was on the call last night for U.S. Soccer. Here's the one goal in the match for Colombia and the USYNT.
Wynn trying to find it. Cut back at the penalty spot. Goal, Colombia. Silva with the goal, Mariana Silva. The cutback was excellent, and Colombia, in one of their first forays into the attacking third, get the opening goal.
I think U.S. is going to be a little frustrated on that one for obvious reasons, but really you start to see those space in between that front line and how far back they're recovering and helping defend with that midfield line, and that player really just kind of stayed in between kind of the two lines, find that pocket around the top of the D, and great ball back and really good finish.
Catalina Cortez with the assist from America de Cali.
And so that was the one goal. U.S. was chasing after an equalizer. Then you had Thunder and Lightning within the 7-mile radius. And the second match ends up as a 1-0 win. Second friendly as they are breaking in fields 1 and 2 down at the National Training Center. So another couple of days left in the training camp for the U20 side on the USYNT women's side as they're getting ready for their World Cup in Poland coming up later this year. So very, very cool to catch up with them and see what's going on down there in Fayetteville as they're getting closer and closer to World Cup qualifications and then hopefully participation in Poland later on here in the year. Okay, got another couple of things that are on the board before we get into gossip, rumor, and innuendo and our sources. Mention the WNT. We do have a lot of lower division stuff that happened over the weekend, and it includes what happened with Georgia Impact and the WPSL. So yesterday was the end of the South Region tournament, and it was Georgia Impact and Pensacola FC. Here are your highlights in that to find out who would go to Kansas City to play in the Final Four. Maddie was on the call for this one, courtesy of Georgia Impact their own selves.
Brought down, trying to get the runner, able to find it, driving through Sarah Houston. Houston, 1v1, Houston able to get it home. It's saved by Guzman Ortiz. O'Connor finds the back of the net on the rebound. It's Sarah Houston who's able to sneak past the back line, turning it onto the right. Her shot gets blocked by Carla Guzman Ortiz, but couldn't hang on to it. The rebound falls right to the feet of Callie O'Connor and just able to slot it into the upper part of the net. Able to find the opener for Georgia Impact. It's 1-0. This will be whistled back in play. So Guzman Ortiz is going to try to send this as up as she can. Push it forward. In possession, intercepted by Georgia Impact. Plays it through wide open. Sarah Houston. Houston slips it in. There's the second.
For Georgia Impact by number 17, Sarah Houston.
The turnover from Howell. Able to see wide open, sneaking through the back line. Sarah Houston, wide open, 1v1 with Guzman Ortiz. Slots it into the far post. She set up O'Connor in the first goal, and now she adds herself onto the board. It's 2-0 Georgia Impact. Loose ball, right battling for it. Faribault able to intercept it. Lebovic up. That ball falls right back to Impact. Vincent. Obradovac. Leaves it for Eats. Able to play it through. Finds Hart wide open. Hart trying to skip it through. Hart's able to slot it into the back of the net, and there's the third.
Impact, scored by number 18, Brooke Hart.
No one marking Brooke Hart. Wide open on that right side. She comes face to face with Guzman Ortiz. Slots it right past her. Finds the third for Georgia Impact. Vineyard plays this up the right flank. Obradovac cuts around. Obradovac in the 18. Obradovac slots it through. Nothing stopping her. Obradovac with the fourth.
Goal for Georgia Impact by number 11, Inez Obradovac.
Able to slot it right in the post. She is able to connect it. It's Vineyard who sets the ball up for her. Clears it all the way up on the right flank. She's able to cut inside, dance around in the 18, slots it in to find the fourth for Georgia Impact.
4-0 your final. Georgia Impact makes it to the WPSL Final Four in Kansas City. And they will be coming out of the right-hand side of the bracket. And they will take on New York Athletic Club. NYAC got their win on the weekend. And they beat Pennsylvania Classics. So NYAC and Georgia Impact national semifinal, 10 o'clock in the morning on Saturday in Kansas City. Bright and early, man. So bright and early on Saturday morning, NYAC, Georgia Impact on one side of the bracket, other side of the bracket, California Storm, who knocked off Spokane Shadow, is going to take on Kansas City Current 2, and basically a home game as Kansas City Current 2 beats Salvo SC. So that'll be the match to follow at 12:30 Eastern time on Saturday afternoon. Cal Storm and Kansas City Current 2, winner of that one takes on the winner of NYAC and Georgia Impact bright and early on Saturday morning. And we're going to try and catch up with Robert Roddy, the head coach of the Impact, before they leave or in a hotel room in Kansas City, one of the two. So that was your WPSL update with everything that happened there. I do have some other up-to-date notes from Morning Espresso on Junior Alonso we'll get into in just a sec. And we'll say hi to everybody here for the morning. Chad Gabert. All right. So according to Chad and his World Cup player index, which he was able to file because of the beauty of off days. So file it with us yesterday. The World Cup stud player index. I know it's got a different title, but here we go. So the round of 8 rankings when it comes to the power index, and obviously de Ketelaere worked his way up the charts on a bunch of different categories, made his way through. So it is right now, obviously Lionel Messi is up top, and this is the player impact ratings that Professor Gabert has come up with at Kennesaw State. And obviously, once again, no real surprise that Lionel Messi's on top with 25.9. Mbappe is second. Jude Bellingham is third. De Ketelaere is fourth. But there is a gap between third and fourth of about 3.5 points totally on the scale. It is 25-9, 22-3, and 22-2. Messi, Mbappe, Bellingham. De Ketelaere leads the second group, leads the chase group at 18.4. Lamine Yamal, Michael Olise, Erling Haaland, Dembele, Dan Ndoye with his equalizer for Switzerland is at 9. Alexis is at 10. Harry Kane, Ashraf Hakimi, Lando Trossard, Pedri, Mikel Oyarzabal, Lisandro Martinez, Elliot Anderson, Upamecano, Rodri, and Odegaard finish out your top 20. Cuti Romero is 21. And then 5 Moroccan players are 22 through 26. So for those of you that may not remember, this was an equation that is being worked on by our friends at Kennesaw State and Professor Gabert. The numbers are based on per 90-minute stats for the whole tournament. And Holland dropped a bit. Mbappe and Bellingham closed the gap. Last 2 games to Keeler went well north. So category points: attacking, playmaking, defending, and ball winning. Those are the 4 main categories. But there are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 separate categories in 4 classifications that add the numbers up. And so you end up with Messi, Mbappe, Bellingham to Keeler. They were your 1, your 2, your 3, and your 4. So that was what our friends at Kennesaw State have been able to piece together for us. And we will continue to work and look at the World Impact, the WCFPIS, 11 key per 90-minute stats into 1 overall score, goals and shots on target per 90, assists, expected assists, and accurate passes per 90, tackles, picks, blocks, clearances, and then ground duels won and possession won in the final third. Those 11 categories by the sports management department are combined into a mathematical formula, and the World Cup field player impact score for the round of 32 has 3 players up top and a chase group after that. Messi, Mbappe, Bellingham, and then the chase group starts to Keeler, Yamal, Olise, Holland, Dembele, Dan Ndoye, and Alexis. That's your top 10. And that is brought to us by Professor Gabert and everybody over at Kennesaw State. We can't thank them enough for all of the impact that they have had with us in letting us tell the stories that are attached. So let's see. All right. So we're caught up, I think, on most of the tape. Let's get into gossip, rumor, and innuendo, other news, and checking sources and things like that before we exit this morning. And once again, tonight, it is Atlanta Soccer tonight, and that will be with Jason later on today. So let's see here. It is 9 to 11, 92.9 the game in the Odyssey app. What separates France and Spain, Argentina and England, and then getting ready for the semifinals Tuesday at Jerry World, Wednesday here, and then it's looking at the final. But it is going to be loud, louder, loudest starting tomorrow, really, here in the Atlanta area as we're getting ready for Argentina and England. And we're trying to effort scholars to inform us and remind us about the Falklands War and what it means. It's in the context of all of this. It is in the songs of the Argentines, and it is in the songs of the players in the locker room. So just to understand where these two nations are coming from, especially with recent words in the printed media, figured it would behoove us to once again revisit why this is a big deal and a larger part of the context of what's going on in this matchup on Wednesday. So 9 to 11, 92.9 the game in the Odyssey app. Once again, deep dive separating France and Spain, Argentina ahead of the semifinals. 92.9 the game Odyssey app, 92.9 YouTube channel, Off the Woodwork podcast section at 929thegame.com. So that is the rundown of all of that. Debinha has signed a contract extension with Kansas City Current through the 27 season with a mutual option for 28. So Debinha stays at Kansas City for a while. And there were some notes that were passed on about Junior Alonso, and it was in Morning Espresso, just to kind of give you an idea as to what he brings to the table. And in the numbers outside of the quotes, recruitment had been a clear driving force behind it, according to Morning Espresso. Alonso's agent, Diego Cerati, said on FALG 1080 AM, Tata Martino requested the signing personally. Alonso wanted Atlanta over another MLS suitor once that call came in. And obviously, he's going to have a teammate with Miguel Almiron as a national teammate. 422 appearances, 6 countries, top divisions. And the bulk of that career, once again, we've mentioned it, Atletico Mineiro. Scouting data backing up what Tata Martino is after. After his most recent stretch at Atletico Mineiro, ranked in the 95th percentile for pass volume, 57 attempts per 90 at 89% accuracy, strong marks and interceptions, and limiting dribbles past him. defending more on anticipation than physicality, precisely the profile of a composed left-footed center back that fits what Atlanta United has been missing. So the recruitment by Tata Martino himself was encouragement for Junior Alonso to come here and visit and then ultimately sign with the club. And he does so through 28-29. So obviously we'll keep an eye on that as Junior Alonso makes his way to be a part of the roster here with Atlanta United. Okay, now getting into gossip, rumor, and innuendo, what to watch, where to watch it, and how to watch it, brought to us by our friends at Fanati's, fntz.co/soccer down here. It is Can Champ, and so it is on Fox ONE with the doubleheader, the second legs. That you can catch that at 7 and 9:30, and that is tonight on the Fanati's. Also, if you subscribe to One Soccer in Canada, as some do, you can catch it there as well. So that's the rundown of what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it by our friends at Fanati's at fntz.co/soccer down here. And to Abe's point early in hour number one, everything AFCON, you can get that at Fanati's through their relationship with BN in Middle East and North Africa. So getting into the other gossip, rumor, and innuendo from the morning, then we'll get into news and notes and break it all down for you there. It is a couple of signings for Manchester United. It looks like a here we go with Yuri Tielemans and Andre Santos, totaling about a little over 100 million pounds. So 100 million pounds, like 103 on the board. I think you're bringing in Yuri Tielemans and you're bringing in Andre Santos. Ederson's move has stalled at the moment. And so that's the very, very busy morning from our friends at Manchester United. Your trending rumors: Arsenal stepping up in their pursuit of Julian Alvarez, hoping to complete a deal before the end of preseason training, according to Miguel Delaney in The Independent. Miguel Arteta has identified him as a priority attacking target. Arsenal encouraged by PSG cooling their interest, and Atletico de Madrid's reluctance to let him join Barcelona or Real Madrid in league. Open to a return to the Prem. Negotiations expected to be complicated, giving the valuations over 150 million euro. Bayern Munich remaining confident Harry Kane will sign a new long-term contract despite interest from Spurs, Barca, and Real Madrid. According to Team Talk, final year of his deal, talks progressing positively. And Bayern believe it's only a matter of time before the England captain commits his future to them. Villa finalizing the transfer of Switzerland and Freiburg midfielder Johan Manzambi. It is, according to David Ornstein in The Athletic, opted to join Villa ahead of Newcastle. Sorry, Alex. Allure of the Champions League appears pivotal to Manzambi's decision. And Villa is set to feature in the competition after defeating Freiburg in the Europa League final. 47 appearances last season, 7+9 on the board. Internazionale poised to make another bid for Curtis Jones, according to Talk Sport. Had an opening offer of 25 million euro, immediately turned down. Who are prepared to retain the academy graduate if a higher bid isn't received, under contract through June of 27. 150 matches for Liverpool in the Prem since making his debut back in 2020. Arsenal set to enter the market for a new winger if Leandro Trossard moves to Besiktas, according to Fabrizio Romano. They've already shortlisted Morgan Rogers from Villa as their top target. Deal would cost over 100 million pounds. Exit of Trossard could accelerate their interest in Club Bruges' Christos Solis, who is keen on joining the champs. Santos once again signing for 48 million pounds, plus another 2 in add-ons. London City Lionesses announcing the signing of defender Mape Leon on a 3-year deal following her exit from Barcelona, joining Alexia Putellas in London. We mentioned Yuri Tielemans, 35 million on the release clause, 35 million pounds. Release clause for the Belgian midfielder. Villa want to keep him. Sources have told the 4-letter he's indicated he would like the opportunity to slide over. Pep Guardiola is apparently, according to Gazzetta, the leading candidate to become new Italy manager. Caught offside is saying Liverpool and Manchester United have dropped out of the race for Crystal Palace's Adam Wharton, leaving Chelsea free to bid to sign him. Gazzetta also, Roma set to enter the race for Chelsea's Alejandro Garnacho, likely to leave Stamford Bridge this summer. Loan with a permanent transfer has been mooted. Team Talk on Omar Marmoush. Spurs and Newcastle showing interest in him. Marmoush is set to hold key talks with the club over his future. Sky Germany, Galatasaray direct talks with Eintracht Frankfurt over a move for midfielder Kaan Uzun. The Turkey international transfer is valued around 60 million euro, open to the switch. Sky Germany, Luka Vuskovic set to undergo his medical at Brighton. Seagulls paying Spurs an initial 50 million pounds. shown last season on loan at Hamburg. Chronicle Live, Newcastle have held talks with the representatives for Parma keeper Zion Suzuki. Magpies yet to decide whether they're going to firm up their interest by submitting a concrete offer. Fabrizio Romano, veteran keeper Jan Sommer set to join Club Brugge on a short-term deal. Lazio advancing in talks to sign Union Berlin defender Danilo Doki on a free. Celtic, the latest club to register an interest in Manchester United keeper Radek Vitek. That's from Football Insider. Former Union Berlin defender Diogo Leite has rejected a proposal from Saudi Pro League Al Diriyah, and TalkSport once again mentioning Slaven Bilic. So getting into discuss things that Ben Jacobs, who's been a very, very busy man. Ben traditionally is very, very busy in the overnight hours with the East Coast here in the U.S. But Ben has Chelsea hoping to find a solution outside of Pep Chavadia's release clause, feeling Rayo Vallecano moved the goalposts. Chelsea originally told to offer 15 million euro, hit the number, Vallecano moved it. Understand that Chelsea's originally told to offer 15 and they hit the number, then Vallecano asked for more. Xabi Alonso is holding his opening press conference and is making comments on a variety of topics on joining Chelsea. Quote, a club with great potential, need to make important decisions and the right decisions. Strong base already, we need to keep building, end quote. PSG are going to trigger Luca Digne's release clause after agreeing to terms with the defender on a 3-year deal. PSG is going to pay less than £10 million. Also, Andre Santos has the picture where he is looking up. The pen is poised on top of the contract. He is smiling. He is not putting pen literally to paper, but you have that picture, so therefore it's obviously official. So 5 + 1 on the contract, 48 + 2 on the fee. He's going to wear number 17 when he's there. So Genoa's Brooke Norton-Cuffy, valued at 20 million euro this summer. Interest from Serie A. Everton explored a deal back in January. Ederson's proposed move to Manchester United off for now. Manchester United have not ruled out revisiting it late in the summer. Atalanta sources maintaining the players fully fit. Manchester United decided not to proceed after carrying out a thorough medical. Specialists looking at an issue with Ederson's knee flagged in initial tests. Additional tests following the World Cup set. United debated whether to proceed. They got buy-in from both Santos and Yuri Tielemans, got both deals closed pretty quickly. So keep an eye on Ederson going forward. So Ben also mentioned Monzambi. Monzambi's agreement in principle now in place, Villa Freiburg, for around £52 million. Monzambi had already agreed to the move. And Tielemans expected to undergo his medical this week after agreeing to join Manchester United. And he wanted to join once the World Cup finished. Looks like it was £35 million on the release clause. And then from there wasn't really a whole lot Villa could do in those two moves. So Southampton set to sign Lewis Dobbin from Villa for £9 million plus add-ons, spent last season on loan at Preston North End. Trincao, once again, permission to undergo a medical. All-Ackley and Sporting agreeing on a €45 million package, currently exploring the paperwork there. And Andoni Iraola is having his press conference with Liverpool. He's asked why he was set to go, and he answered those questions as well in the press conference form. Let's see. Fenerbahce now optimistic on closing the Mason Greenwood deal. Al-Ahly tried to hijack it. Fenerbahce have already had an agreement in principle with Marseille. Told Matthias Geisler has spoken directly to the player. Saudi dealmakers are aware Fenerbahce's deal is advanced but still in talks. Then here domestically, once again, obviously the biggest news, Alan St. Maximin for Charlotte. He's now in the books, and he is going in as a DP. So keep an eye out for that. And Junior Alonso to Atlanta United this morning. That is also on the books as well. Summer transfer window is officially open as of today. Players signed and registered. Griezmann, Lewandowski, St. Maximin, and Casemiro, which has not been announced yet, but Casemiro anticipating that that is going to happen. And we mentioned the Nathan Ordaz deal from LAFC to DC United, so obviously keeping an eye out for that one as well. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that we might have missed. I think we got it done. Tomorrow, even though my name is not Georgia Impact in the WPSL, tomorrow, yes. Sorry, Alex is almost a default. It's a part of our lexicon. So, morning, Alex Morning, Abby. And yeah, I'm kind of with you that new laws shouldn't be implemented before a major tournament. Before a season, yeah, I'm kind of with you there. So, morning, David. Morning to Nick, who is apparently mourning. Fabio Cannavaro looks like he might be out in Uzbekistan and heading back into the pro coaching game. Morning, David. Morning, Wiley. And Wiley, I understand. Wiley's going to be keeping an eye on Atlanta United. Still going to support the team, but he's keeping an eye on them and keeping an eye on the season ticket renewal. So let's see. Morning, Ricky, and morning, Wiley. And let's see. Who else am I missing? Morning, Michael Head. And good to see Michael's here. And let's see. There's Abby and there's Ricky. And it goes into our discussion with Bart. Morning, Ropes. We referenced the Battle of Hastings. Was that like 1,200 years ago? I think it's 1,200 years ago that went down. So David, Ricky, Ropes, Abby, and trying to see if there's anything else that's posted. I think we're in good shape. So once again, tonight, 9 to 11, it is Atlanta Soccer Tonight, 92.9 The Game in the Odyssey app. And we will break all that down for you. We're also going to catch up with Clyde Best. We're going to do that, and that'll be on tape, and we're going to turn that for a 1v1 coming up here in a little bit, because once again, soccer legend Clyde Best, guest of honor consecutive nights as a part of a post-film panel discussion, transforming the beautiful game, the Clyde Best story, coming to Atlanta for the Loudermilk Center. Organizers announcing together with Atlanta's Bronze Lens Film Festival event in partnership with Soccer in the Streets. Tickets on sale now, and it is a documentary on one of the folks that really you need to have as a part of your soccer knowledge base in Clyde Best. So we're going to catch up with him, and it is going to be ready to go. And we'll lock all that in. We're going to have that interview, and then we'll have that 1v1 posted for you as well. So tomorrow should be the return of KCD, and we will catch up with her and catch up on everything else, getting ready for the first of the two semifinals tomorrow, in addition to everything else. And we also have an interview after Casey tomorrow, and it has to do with education initiatives that are attached to the items and activities here in and around the World Cup in Atlanta. And so that's going to be another big piece of the puzzle that we get to work on here when it comes to all of our interviews. And so that's going to be at 10:30. So hour number one is going to be looking at all the soccer things. Then we'll have KCD come in at 10 o'clock, and then we will catch you up on education initiatives and everything that are a part of all of the things that kind of fly below the radar a little bit when it comes to hosting World Cups and such, and making sure that it's not just about the activity on the field, but it's also about the activity off the field. And so it was really cool that we got this particular interview set up with what's going on. So we're going to be catching up with a lot of folks as we kind of wean off the tournament and go forward, because there's a lot more stuff going on through University of Notre Dame, and there are initiatives that we're going to be keeping our eyes on as well. But one of that is tomorrow at 10:30. So hour number one's about soccer. We've got KCD should be at 10 o'clock, and then at 10:30 we'll get to find out about education initiatives that are attached to the World Cup here in Atlanta. So that's the rundown for tomorrow. Once again, thanks for hanging out with us for another go-round of SDH AM. And as always, thanks to Abe, and thanks to Bart, and thanks to all of y'all for dropping by and being a part of everything that we do on a daily basis as OGs, plus ones, and A-listers, and spreading the word of the beautiful game as we always get to do. So that's another round of SDH AM. See you in, as I try to do math, 21 and a half hours. And since it is the end of the show, that means I get to do this. Mucho platial. We'll catch up with you tonight for Atlanta Soccer Tonight at 92.9 The Game, and then tomorrow morning, 9:05 Eastern, for another go-round of Tuesday Thoughts in SDH AM. It's the end of the show. Means I get to do this. See you later tonight and then again tomorrow.